Hello. Test. I don't know if you hear me, but I do not hear you and I don't see anything on the camera. Maybe you haven't given permissions to the website to use your device's hardware. Hello. Тест. Тест. Имаме малък технически проблем. Не можем да вържем сайта. Човека не може да се върши камерата или самия сайт просто има проблеми, не знам. И заради това просто ще използвам друга платформа за разговора, но сме на линия, след малко почваме. I'm gonna speak just for a second in Bulgarian, okay? Just to greet the viewers, okay? Добър вечер на всички, които гледат. Часът е колко стана? 8:15. 30 октомври сме 2021 година и с нас е Ламар Wilson. So, Lamar, hi there.
Hey, how you doing, man? How you doing?
Good. I'm very, very excited about our conversation. So I pretty much, greeted all the Bulgarian viewers that are watching the stream live right now. We're making this recording though in English. Firstly, obviously because I don't speak Bulgarian, but secondly with the idea that whoever from whatever country he is can watch after that this conversation and hear your thoughts, hear your story, and learn from it. So pretty much, please let's start with where are you from, what do you do, and tell us like your crypto inception story. Like when was the first time you heard about Bitcoin? Were you one of these people that were like, oh, that's a scam, like come on, don't bother with this crypto mumbo jumbo stuff, or I guess back then it was even a bit different than it is today, when crypto is a bit more mainstream than it was multiple years ago.
So, my name is Lamar Wilson. I am from Kentucky in the United States of America. So that is my state. I'm a software developer by trade. I have a degree in finance, and I got into Bitcoin because I was pitching an actual web company, basically a game company, to some VCs in Silicon Valley. And when I was talking to them, they said, "It looks like you have a currency in your game." And I was like, yeah, kind of like a token type of system. And they were like, have you ever heard of Bitcoin? And I said, and this was like 2011, 2012, around there. And they said, have you ever heard of Bitcoin? I thought he said big coin, like BIG coin. And I was like, no, I haven't heard of it. Yeah, like big coin. And I was like, no, I've never heard of Bitcoin. And so we left the meeting, and my business partner, he pulls out his phone and he's looking it up, and he's like, I think he was saying Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And I looked at it, and we both looked at it. We were kind of like, well, it's not really doing anything with what we're doing. So we kind of moved on. Fast forward just a little bit, and I saw an article where it said Bitcoin hits an all-time high. And I was like, oh man, that's crazy. This thing really exists. So I went and looked up Bitcoin again, and this time I read the white paper. And I have never been probably more attracted to something immediately outside of my wife, like from a technical standpoint, because what I saw when I first read the white paper was actually freedom. Me being a software developer and then also having a finance degree, there's like no better marriage, right? There's no better coming together of the two disciplines than Bitcoin. And it kind of like set me down a path. And then what I did was I went in and I started learning about cryptography. And this was before a lot of these books were out, before a lot of classes were out. I started learning about cryptography. I learned everything I could about Bitcoin, and I built a wallet. So very early on, I built a wallet that at one point was the only wallet you could actually load onto your iOS device, because they banned all the other wallets out of the iOS store. So what was crazy is at that moment in time, around the world, people were downloading the FIFA wallet at that time, and that's pretty much how I got into the space.
Okay, amazing. So why did they ban the other wallets?
They just banned all wallets. I figured out a way myself, and my business partner, we think a little different, right? So we figured out a way to be able to load it without going through the Apple Store. So you can load our wallet through an email. And so once we figured out that, then that's the way we were distributing the wallet, was through email. But in the Apple Store, they banned all Bitcoin wallets.
I see. Okay. All right. So you said that you immediately were really attracted to the project, what Bitcoin is, and you said that you are a software developer, and at the same time you had a finance background. And remember, there was this tweet that Bitcoin is everything you don't understand about technology with everything you don't understand about money. So that's pretty much what Bitcoin is. So I guess this is like a standard question, and you've answered it 1,000 times, but could you please, for whoever's watching right now, like in 1 minute, explain what is Bitcoin?
So Bitcoin is a decentralized, censorshipless money. And first of all, I think Bitcoin is money. Like that's probably the biggest part of Bitcoin that most people don't get. They look at it so much as just a pure technology that they miss the fact that it's the hardest money ever created. So Bitcoin, let's say that first is money. But from a technical standpoint, Bitcoin is a decentralized protocol that allows you to send around ownership or to trade ownership cryptographically. And the coolest part about it is the thing that it actually solved, the actual invention that happened was the solving of the Byzantine general problem. So you get rid of all the double spins and things like that, and then it allows you to come to eventual consensus over a distributed platform. And I think that is what Bitcoin is. Hopefully I didn't get too deep, but the money part is probably the most important for everybody to understand.
Okay, well, to someone watching, he might say like, but I don't get it. Like, I have money. Let's say in Bulgaria, our currency is called leva. And I have leva, like I have money. I can go there to the store and I have, I'm picking up my wallet here. Here is how our currency looks like. Of course, it has some dead person on a piece of paper. That's what it looks like. How it is looks like on the other side. And the question is now, I have money. Like, this is my money. I can go to the store and I can right now purchase some tomatoes, some bananas, some bread, whatever I want. And with Bitcoin, when I go there, I can purchase anything because the lady at the store haven't even heard of Bitcoin. So why should I care about this distributed ledger money, sound money, hard money? Like, what does that even mean? Like, why does it matter? I have working money right now here.
Well, just because you have it doesn't mean that it's actually doing great for you. Because what happens is that many of our countries, we print money, right? Our federal banks, they print money. And when they continue to keep printing money, what it does for the working people, the people that are out trading their actual time for money, it actually makes their money worth less. So their purchasing power goes down. So you have to work more to get the same amount of goods and services in the economy. That is not a good thing, because what it does is it essentially creates a slavery class out of all of us. Whenever they're printing money like that, and most of our entire economy, especially in the United States, is built on top of debt, we basically have issued ourselves into debt slavery. So the money that we're using keeps everyone continuously working, right? Because as they keep printing it, you keep losing purchasing power, which means you have to get up and go work again just to get more money that they're going to keep diluting. Well, with Bitcoin, it's completely different, right? Because there's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin. Right now, only about 2% of the world probably owns Bitcoin, maybe even less than that. It's probably less than 2%. And then if that's the case, as the demand for more hard money comes in the future, Bitcoin will be considered more and more scarce, which we understand from an economic standpoint, that if something is scarce, that means that the price is going to rise over time as demand for that thing goes up. So therefore, the time that you're putting in, whenever you go and get Bitcoin, you're actually saving your time. You're not saving money, you're actually saving your time, because over time, your purchasing power will increase. It takes less and less Bitcoin to buy the things and goods in your economy that you need to survive. The food at the grocery store, your rent, those kind of things. So having Bitcoin actually saves time, and it actually increases your purchasing power. So that's why it's important. And we in the modern day just don't necessarily understand hard money like that, because we're so used to our government like lending it out and putting it into the system and keep printing it and printing it. And in some countries, they understand inflation from a different standpoint than we do in the United States, because their government doesn't know how to handle the economy. And what happens is they wind up inflating it so much that people have to stand in lines just to get food.
Okay. There was this tweet, I remember, from a few weeks ago that was saying, like, have you seen the real estate prices? Like, I haven't seen it crashing so hard in decades. It used to be 20 Bitcoin for a house, and now it's like 3-4 Bitcoin for a house in the US. Of course, it was a joking tweet, because actually the median price of the houses in US is now like $360,000, something like that. And just a year ago, it was like 300 or 310. So it's definitely going up, but in Bitcoin, it is going down. So going on this topic, a lot of people would say, okay, if everyone uses Bitcoin, and everyone recognizes Bitcoin and sees it as, sound money, and you save in Bitcoin, then the economy is gonna stop working. Because why should I spend my money today when tomorrow I can purchase more? What do you say to these people?
Oh man, that's a very interesting subject, because we've been going back and forth about that. But the thing is that people will find ways to spend money. Everyone has a different price. right? There are some people, if Bitcoin gets to 100,000, they're going to sell all their Bitcoin, right? If Bitcoin gets to 200,000, they'll sell. So everybody has a price at which they'll probably get rid of their Bitcoin because it's like, well, I have too much, right? I'm good now and I have enough of what I need and I can literally put it back into the market. At that point, when we get to hyper Bitcoinization, like you're still going to need goods and services. And here's the thing. That's why I always say, if you have sovereign money, you also need to live a sovereign life, like move towards being sovereign from everything else, being able to figure out how to have your own means of production for food, have your own means of production for water, getting your own electricity from, you know, natural sources. Like that is what I believe, that if you're going to have sovereign money, you have to have sovereign, try to start living a more sovereign life, because becoming independent having independent money requires more independence from you. Because like you just said, at some point, when we go to all Bitcoin, you're still gonna have to eat. You're still gonna have to have a roof over your head. You're still gonna need good, clean water. You're still gonna need energy and electricity. So those people that provide those things to you, you're gonna have to take your Bitcoin and spend it. Otherwise, you're gonna die because you're not gonna eat, right? You're not gonna drink water. And so that's what'll happen in hyper Bitcoinization. But that's why I always try to explain to people that along with you stacking your Bitcoin, start making your lifestyle more and more sovereign, where you're less dependent on someone else. Because in the future, when it's all Bitcoin, you don't want to have to give up this scarce asset to someone just to provide your needs, your survival needs. You're thinking, huh? You're thinking.
Yeah, I'm thinking, because here is something I disagree with you. The way I see it is that when you have X amount of Bitcoin, let's say we all use Bitcoin, right? We all trade in Bitcoin. Let's say you want a massage. Yeah, sure. Let's say that's 2,000 Satoshis or whatever in the future, right? And let's say after that, you want me to fix your door. Let's say it's 3,000 Satoshis or something like that, right? For services. And I don't see nothing wrong in spending your Satoshis for goods and services that you want, that you need.
Right.
What Bitcoin is going to do for you is protect you from the printer, pretty much, right? From devaluating your savings. But me spending it, let's say in the grocery store, or for some handyman coming in my house and assisting me with something, like, I see nothing wrong with that, spending the Bitcoin that I have. Obviously, during this process where we're still early adopters, we're still like just 2% of the population on the planet having Bitcoin. Obviously, yes, if you can postpone your spending as much as possible, you're going to get really great appreciation of the value stored in Bitcoin. But sooner or later, that appreciation is going to stop. Like, because we're all into Bitcoin now, right? Like, there is no other people to get into Bitcoin. At that point, it will be just free and fair market value for all goods and services.
Right. But again, you still have to give some of your Bitcoin up. Think about it like this. If I have a place that I own my house outright, no debt on it, and I'm keeping it up, and I have a house that I grow my own food, have it perpetually growing. I have water coming in. We're doing our own water filtration. And then we also have electricity coming from solar, wind, geothermal, like whatever we can. At that point, I have a very limited amount of Bitcoin that I ever have to spend out. But people who don't have that, just like now, they'll be taking 40% of their Bitcoin, their income, and putting it back into the economy. But they'll be giving it to somebody like me if I have all of that stuff already taken care of. So I'll just keep accumulating it and keep accumulating the Bitcoin, and I don't have to put out much. Like, my net Bitcoin will basically be, I'll be basically making more than I'll be pushing out. And here's the biggest issue. It is a scarce asset. They're not making anymore. So the more I hoard, if you don't start thinking about the fact that you need to be more independent and more sovereign and more self-sustaining, that's really what it is, then you'll realize that in the future, when we get to hyper Bitcoinization, that you'll be having to pay that out, which is, again, that's just part of it. Like, it's not a bad thing. I don't understand. Some people listen to me say that and they go, oh, no. It's like, no, it's not a bad thing. It's just the way economics works. It's just the way it works. If I have a good or a service and I can provide that to you, then therefore I can basically get some value back from you. And in the future, that value will be Bitcoin. So, I mean, I think that people sometimes, like, they forget that economics is still economics. Supply and demand still going to exist. It'll just be with different money. And that money, because of its scarceness, will basically allow us to hoard or store our purchasing power longer. But those people that are having to constantly take out of their nest egg to pay it, they're going to not be as well off as those people that already have a lot of their survival things and their sustainability taken care of, right? It's just the nature of the game.
I see what you mean. But however, though, let's say you do have your solar panels, your clean water, your food production, you do have this, the roof over your head and so on. However, though, let's say you're currently in America, right, in US, and let's say you want to come over to Europe, you want to see the Eiffel Tower, you want to see, I don't know, like Tower Bridge in London or something like that. It's okay to spend the money on a plane ticket.
Okay. Yeah. You can spend it. I'm just saying, for your everyday things, the more things that you're not independent, and I say this now in the fiat world, like the whole idea is to become self-sustained, because the reason why we have money wouldn't matter if we didn't have things we were going to buy with it, right? The real reason why we have money is so we can buy the things we buy with money. It's the food, the shelter. Those are the things as human beings that we actually need. We got to remember that money was a creation. It was an actual invention, which meant that before money even existed, there were many civilizations that went on before that just fine and lived, right? They survived as a human race. Money just became a technology or an invention that allowed people to then transfer this value without having to have the same needs through a bartering type of a system. So if you think about that, if we get back to a mentality of can we sustain ourselves and also use this technology, now you've pushed yourself on a different level, because now you're in a position where you're never having to leak out as many of your Bitcoin as you would, right? And I think, yeah, it's fine to spend them. I had a wallet, right? I built a wallet, so I get it. I understand that it's great to get those Bitcoin out in the economy. But I'm just saying there's other things that you have to think about, because at the end of the day, we can't eat Bitcoin.
Yes.
Right? We can't eat it. We can't eat it. We can't sleep in it. We can't wear it. So we're going to have to trade that out for something. And the closer you get to those things being self-sustained, I think the better off you'll be in the future. And that's my opinion.
You said you can't eat it. That's one of the things that it's really hard for people to grasp Bitcoin, because they're like, I can't touch it, I can't eat it, I can't see it. It's just a number on the screen. Why does it matter? And just in order to get it, you really have to spend the time. And also, depending on what's your background, it might be just as reading the white paper. That was good enough for you. But just imagine for a random person on the street reading the white paper, he's not even gonna get it. It's like, what was this that I just read? And he needs additional 100, maybe 200 hours of crypto education, as I call it, in order to get it. So on the topic of being independent, actually, I want to bring the topic of taxes, because you said you own your own land, you own the house on it. Let's say you even build it with your both hands. You have a farm there, you have the solar panels, you bought them with Bitcoin, with fiat money, doesn't matter. And you're absolutely independent, right? But you still be taxed. You must pay property tax. So just tell me, like, when I say this, how does this make you feel? And what's your opinion on taxes in general?
Yeah, taxes, I think they are a necessary evil. Like, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. That's basically a biblical thing, right? And I get it. Like, if you're utilizing some resources that as a community we're all using together, like roads and those kind of things, okay, I get it, right? Pay some taxes. But at the same time, like, let's say you just rent and you don't own the house and you rent from someone else, right? That rent money is still going to pay property taxes. It's just that whoever's renting the house to you is using your money to pay their property taxes. So the taxes will still be there. They'll still charge. And I truthfully believe as a society, we should all start moving towards a consumption tax, I believe, where basically when you consume things, that's the only time you need to be paying a tax, instead of doing income taxes and property taxes and all of this other stuff. I think that's the only I think that, to me, from a tax perspective, I think that's the only tax that really makes sense, because that allows you to have people that actually save and invest and put money in things that actually build your economy. And then when they go out to consume, yes, you charge them a little bit more, but that helps you keep everything in balance, right? Because people have to consume food, water, the whole thing. So yeah, I mean, I think taxes are necessary, but I don't think big government is necessary. I don't think you need a huge government to pay for a whole bunch of stuff. I think that taxes are definitely necessary though, because there are things that we use together. So that's my take on taxes.
Okay. I would like
hold on, what do you think about taxes?
My opinion is going to be through my prism in living and working in Bulgaria, okay?
Yeah.
And in Bulgaria, in my opinion, we have a lot of inefficiency in the government, and in my opinion, our government is really, really corrupt. It's a common knowledge that, let's say they have to build a road, and let's say they can build it in 500,000. They're gonna build it in 5 million, and the company that's going to build it is actually the company in one of the politicians' sister, for instance, right? They're winning the project, even though they're not gonna build it at the best price. This is just how it works. It's called, the government projects or whatever. They're always being given to people with connections. And
that happens here too.
Sorry?
That happens here too.
And therefore, what I think about taxes is that when I go to work, firstly, in order to be hired, I must do well on the technical interview. I must do well on the person level interview, meaning, do I look like a person who's a good team player, who is, can do under stress and so on, and I have to do well. Otherwise, I'm not going to get hired to do at certain company. After that, I have a probation period, right, for 3 months. And I have to do well. If I don't do well, if I fight with the teams, they're going to be like, okay, this is not going to work out, please leave. That's it. And after that, I have to continue doing well. Otherwise, again, I'm going to be sacked, right? So therefore, what I'm saying is I must be competitive and must do a good job. With the government, I do not have any choice. Like, I'm just giving them the money, and whatever they do, that's what they're doing, and that's it. Like, no one is holding them accountable, is what I'm saying. Well, I'm being held accountable constantly. No one is holding them accountable. When I receive, let's say, $2,000 my salary, $400 go for my pension fund, $200 go for this, $100 go for my healthcare plan, and so on. But at the end, though, when I go at the hospital, the doctor looks at me and he's like, okay, so how much are you gonna tip me for me to do a good job on you? And I'm like, dude, that's what my, healthcare plan is for. You're supposed to just do your best anyway. And there's just so much corruption on so many levels. And again, from a $2,000 salary in Bulgaria, you'd pay, let's say, $800 in taxes. Then, when a company provides any service, they have a 10% profit tax that is given to the government. Then you have the VAT, value added tax, which is another 20, so that's total of 30. But after that, every single employee, you have those taxes. Long story short, what I'm saying is, if we did not pay any taxes, we would have like 30-40% higher salaries, and the stuff in the shops were gonna cost, like 30-40% less. Therefore, I have I'm living 2 times more expensive life, and now the question is why? And a person would say, why? Because you need the fire department, you need the policeman, you need this, you need that. And I'm like, sure, yes, I do need them, and I'm fine to pay for them. However, though, as long as there is transparency and there is accountability for where do you spend my money that I gave to you. My issue with taxes is the lack of accountability. And just recently, I remember on Twitter, I saw this video where a lady in Canada was talking to the Prime Minister of Canada, I can't remember his name, and she said, do you know, exactly, Trudeau, yeah? She said, do you know what we used to do to traitors? We used to hang them, she said. My point is that everyone who works as a politician or a government employee, he must be held at the highest standard level, accountable, and if he messes up or he's being caught in corruption, in my opinion, he should be banned from ever again being a government employee or a politician representing the goods of the people, the will of the people.
So you don't have a problem with taxes. You have a problem with the people that are distributing the taxes.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm with you on that, man. That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't believe in big government. I don't believe them having their hands in everything and trying to regulate everything. So yes, I'm with you. We are we are brothers in that. So yeah.
Taxes are good. In my opinion, let's say literally just today, I was walking on the streets of Sofia, the capital of Bulgaria, and I saw, I don't know how is that called in English, a beggar I think it's called, a guy that just sits on the street and has his, glass out or whatever and just waits for someone to drop him some money, right? So he was sitting there, and now it's October, right? And we have all the 4 seasons in Bulgaria. So we have proper summer, proper winter with snow, proper autumn and proper spring, and now the temperatures are quite low. Like they go as low as 0 degrees Celsius, which I don't know how is that Fahrenheit, but it's cold, like it's winter jacket and so on. And there is this guy sitting on the ground in the shadow with his legs out, no pants, with the idea to show how he has a big wound on his leg. So that's, pretty much like the proof. Like if you ask me, why am I a beggar? Well, because I have this broken leg and I cannot go to work. Anyway, I don't know what exactly is his story, but my point is the following. I felt really sorry for that guy, and I thought, like, healthcare, especially for life-saving situations and for any heavy diseases or any very large diseases, it must be free. I'm fine paying even 10% of my income for healthcare, but it must after that be free. It's just gonna be like insurance. Like I might be the one, I think the expression in English is like pulling the short straw or something. I might be the one, or it might be my kid. So I'm fine paying 10%, even though I'm not, just for the people who, got bad luck with health and therefore, they're now on the street and so on.
Right. No, I'm with you on that. I'm with, man. Another fist bump. Good stuff. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think the same thing. But here's what's so crazy. You know how Bitcoin actually helps with this? Because what happens is that the reason why all of these taxes and all of this stuff is out there is because the incentives are misaligned. Like the incentives are completely misaligned. If they feel like they can keep printing money, right, then the only way they can get it back is to tax. That's the way for, especially in the United States. Let's say that in the United States, the way they use taxes to get money back, get their money back that they put too much in the system to try to fight inflation. So they either raise interest rates or they raise your taxes to try to pull more money out of the system and bring it back into the government. Listen, you get out of a fiat system like that where you keep printing money, then you start having to realize what's really valuable, and a lot of these extra programs, all of this extra waste will start going out the window. Why? Because they won't have the money to do it. So then what happens is with good sound money, you begin to prioritize. It's about like you moving back to Bulgaria. Like you moved back to Bulgaria because you prioritize Bitcoin over living in London. So you move back so you can save more money. And you see what I'm saying? Like that's the mentality that I believe more people will have if they understand that, hey, like this money that we have, they're not making any more of it. And so we need to do what's best with it and not waste it at all. And it takes away all the waste because you don't know if more money's coming in immediately. Once you get to a point where you stop printing money, you have to stop and really think about where you spend it. Because you just keep giving a little kid money every week, he's going to spend it on candy and toys over and over and over again. But if you stop giving the kid money and say, here, it's the only money you have for the week, I guarantee he'll start saving it up so he can make sure he can eat, right? He'll make sure he can go get a sandwich every once in a while. That's what happens when you take away the money printing and actually get people into a sound money type of a system.
Okay, so really on this topic of saving and spending for things that you actually need, I have 2 topics that I would like to bring. One is consumerism. constantly, like for instance, I kid you not, like I kid you not, like it's not here so I can show it. I literally have 2 pairs of jeans, okay? I have the black one and the blue one. That's it. I have 2 pairs of jeans. Shoes, 1 pair. That's it. I have my kind of runner street, city street shoes, and one like a bit more official that's for the summer, and one that's like a wintry one. That's it. So they're total of 3, but my point is that each one is just like the one if I'm gonna go for a walk, the ones that like if I'm gonna go on a date, let's say, and the one's just for winter. Like for winter, I don't run, so I just need 1 pair of shoes. That's it. That's it. About t-shirts, like I'm selling these t-shirts, so I'm selling like crypto branded t-shirts. So I have a bunch of them, like I have 15 of them, but it's because every single day when I have a stream, I wear a different one. So it's kind of half marketing, half, you know, wearing my own t-shirts that I'm proud of and so on. And that's it. So my point is, again, let's say my phone is 4 years old. Like I can purchase the newest phone, but I don't. At the same time though, there is a lot of people who spend all their income, or they even borrow money on credit card or whatever to spend even more, let's say on a new car or a bigger condo, or having, I don't know, like 10 suits, or having the latest watch and so on. So what is your take on spending money that you don't have, or spending money on things that do they really make you happy or bring any value in your life?
Man, listen, I have been known to be, people call me a cheapskate because I'm just like you. I have a pair of flip-flops and 1 pair of shoes. So I don't wear socks. I wear about 4 different shorts, and I got probably maybe 5 polo shirts like this, like colorful shirts. That's pretty much it. Like I don't have a lot of clothes because I'm just like you. I don't think you need a lot of things. As a matter of fact, 2007, I gave up a car. Like I literally said, I'm not going to own a car. There's no reason for me to own a car. And a lot of people don't understand why, but it's because, again, just like with that, like if I realize I'm living in a place where I don't need a car and I can use public transportation, then that allows me to save more money to put into assets. And this is before Bitcoin, right? Like I've just always thought this way. And so when you start seeing Bitcoin, I'm with you. But consumerism comes from having like fiat money. Like the fiat system forces consumerism, because what happens is people begin to borrow money for things they cannot afford. And that's because they can borrow it. So what happens, they wind up putting more money into the system than actually should be there. So these people are overspending. It always makes me laugh when someone says, oh, Bill Gates has a $50 million house. He shouldn't need all of that. And I'm thinking to myself, there are a lot of people who have negative net worth or 0 net worth that own homes that are way over their net worth. But they don't ever talk about that because the middle class, the lower middle class, they rather use debt to try to figure out how to look like those people that have money. And that's ridiculous. It's like, that's the part that gets us in trouble. Like our middle class in the United States, really, most people don't have anything. They are up to their head in debt because everything they own, their 2 cars, their house, their vacation home, everything they own is in debt, right? And so they really don't own much of anything, but they do have it, but they don't really own it. And so they have to keep going to work every single day to continue to pay for that debt just on those things that, like, especially with cars that depreciate. Like, if I understand how
do they 1 year I heard that the second hand cars in US actually rose in price.
Oh yeah, they rose in price because of but look, that's because of the supply chain, right?
Yeah, no, it's
like that's like the one few things. But if you start thinking about the supply chain, if we have those kind of problems, that means we're running into a situation of inflation. Because if cars are rising in price, right, then everything else has to be rising in price, which shows you that we have a certain amount of inflation coming into the market that we're not used to. And so it's a slippery slope when you start dealing with fiat currencies. And that's the reason why I'm a huge advocate of Bitcoin, period. Because I understand, like, it will literally change your priorities. All that stuff you usually buy, you won't. As a matter of fact, I know people that like had sneaker collections, like Michael Jordan shoe collections, and they would literally sell them to get Bitcoin because they realized, like, what am I doing? What have I done all of this? I got a whole wall full of Michael Jordan shoes. For what reason?
But when you say Michael Jordan shoes, you don't mean like signed by him or something?
No, just shoes. They just have, like, they made sure they collected every shoe that he comes out with. So they spend the $200 or $300 every time it comes out. So they have a whole wall full of shoes.
That's crazy.
That's how it is. That's Americans.
Luba just asked in the chat. Okay, a question to Amar. What else brings value apart from Bitcoin/crypto? What else is worth spending money on apart from Bitcoin? So about the topic of bringing value, actually, I have a separate question on that because, again, it's some people say that, yeah, sure, but Bitcoin is gonna break the economy because people don't want to spend their Bitcoin because it's gonna appreciate in price. But the thing is that if no one wants to spend their Bitcoin and everyone is just hoarding it, at the end, like, no one's gonna be providing services, and at the end, the very few people who will, they're gonna provide it at a very high price, even in Bitcoin. And then at that point, the free market mechanism of other people are saying, like, what? That guy just fixed the chimney for 2 Bitcoin? I'm gonna do it for a Bitcoin and a half. And then the next guy is gonna be like, I'm gonna do it for just 1 Bitcoin, and so on. Right. So the idea is that this argument to me is so invalid about that. However, though, a more interesting topic is the one about investing, let's say, in stocks or in startups. In order to invest there, you must really think about, is this company gonna create value, and therefore, if I invest 1 Bitcoin in it, am I sure that I'm gonna get at least 2 Bitcoin back? Again, though, the difference is thinking in fixed supply money, because in dollars you're thinking, yeah, if I borrow some money and if I invest it, it really doesn't matter because inflation is gonna eat it away anyway, and it's gonna, let's say, inflate away my loan or something. So it's much easier to put everything in S&P 500, especially when you don't have any interest rate offered by your bank.
Yeah, so investing in stocks, and like you said, there's an opportunity cost if you invest in stocks or any other asset. I've been talking to people about real estate, but they don't understand. I'm not telling everybody to go out here and buy a single family home at all. I'm just saying that right now interest rates are extremely low, and a lot of people can go out and get money really cheaply and buy a house that they can actually live in and pay less rent, pay less than their rent. And if they can pay less than their rent, then why not, right? Because now all of a sudden that cash flow, they can take the extra amount of it and go and get Bitcoin. And if you get like a duplex, you can rent the back of it out or the side of your house out and wind up getting it to pay for everything. So you don't even have to pay anything. So I've been saying that, but most things, like, it's very nuanced. It's on a case-by-case basis. I don't know if there's any surer bet than Bitcoin right now. It's for me, just my opinion. But what types of things, I think he was saying, what types of things would I spend money on? Like things for my wife, to make sure that she has a good time, like taking her out, like having dinner, those kind of things, just to keep that relationship going. There are many things that I value more than Bitcoin, and that's my family and love and God, right? Like the things that I believe in. And so, yeah, those things I definitely, if it took me to give away all the Bitcoin that I used to have, because I don't have any Bitcoin. I did a cartwheel a somersault in the front yard and lost it in the grass. So I don't have any Bitcoin. Some people lose it on boating accidents, but I lost mine in the grass doing a somersault. No, but there are certain things that if you told me I had to give up all my Bitcoin to save my wife's life or something like that, then yeah, of course, like that stuff is far more valuable to me. And so, like, spending time with my children, all of that stuff is far more valuable than just trying to make another, $100,000 in Bitcoin. So, like, it's just real, because life is short. I had a pretty bad scare a month ago. I wound up getting a pulmonary embolism, which is a clot in my lung. And it really makes you think about life differently, right? It really makes you go, I could have been gone. I could have been dead. And so life is worth living. And I think that, Bitcoin is great, but hey, spend the time, find people you love, find some friends that you enjoy hanging out with, and spend that time with them as well, because you never know when you're going to leave, and the Bitcoin ain't going to provide what they can provide. in those terms and those senses. So I definitely find things far more valuable than Bitcoin. But from a financial standpoint, I don't know if there's anything on the planet as an asset that is better than Bitcoin, period. So
there was this tweet just recently. One guy said, I'm a crypto millionaire and I can't remember what was the word exactly. A miserable cunt. He said, I'm a miserable cunt even though I'm a crypto millionaire. And he said, like, it's not about the money. Cherish your family, your friends, your relationships, and so on. Money is just a tool. It's just a means of, let's say, I don't know, like getting a car or purchasing the food that someone else produces and so on. But it does not bring you happiness. Happiness is the way to achieve it is through relationship, through trust, through people that you love, through people that you care about. Seeing them being happy brings happiness to yourself.
Right. That's it, man. Live, love life, man. If you live love, you'll love your life. That's my saying. I stick with it because it's real. So yeah, I mean, having Bitcoin, but having people around you to share it with is even better. Like it just makes it a whole lot better. So yeah, that's my answer to his. What other things did you put value into? So
before we started, I mentioned that I started the channel about a year and a half ago, but I didn't say when I got in crypto. So I got in crypto in 2017, and the thing is, I've heard about Bitcoin back in 2011. I was 22 years old back then. And when I heard about it, I heard that the price again hit all-time high or whatever, and I checked it and I was like, oh man, if I put any money in it, you know, it was gonna quadruple or whatever in the past month or whatever. And the thought process was, I missed my chance. And then I heard again about Bitcoin when it hit $100 or something. And I looked at the chart and I was like, oh man, I missed my chance again. And then it hit $1,000. And then I'm like, are you kidding me? I missed my chance again. And I was just, you know, I was a kid or I was stupid, I don't know, but I was just repeating the same words. I missed my chance, I missed my chance. And then in 2017, Bitcoin hits I remember $2,300. And I am seeing some random, I think it was maybe on Reddit or something, I saw this article and I'm thinking, I missed my chance again. But my brain this time made the connection to the previous times. Bitcoin, I missed my chance. Bitcoin, I missed the chance for the fourth time. And I was like, okay, there must be something here. If this thing keeps popping up, and I'm constantly thinking the same thing, I miss my chance. So I spent for the next 3 months learning about Bitcoin. Andreas Antonopoulos was pretty much the main channel, the main guy who taught me about Bitcoin and how thanks to Bitcoin and the Internet of Things, we can make so crazy things and micropayments and just like, I know, let's say being a blogger, someone could send you just 1 cent to thank you for the article. But if it's a really good article, 1 million people with 1 cent, you know, you're getting yourself being able to bring revenue from your content, the content that you create and so on. And my point is the following, that in 2017, I was just investing with the idea. I saw the, I saw the potential of Bitcoin. I was saying this thing is gonna be worth millions one day. So I was just putting my savings there. I didn't cash out all the way to the top. I didn't cash out. And then when it crashed down to 3,000, again, I continued investing, but I was, quite disheartened. All my friends were like, oh, that guy that never cashed out, Bitcoin is a Ponzi, it crashed, it's going to die, and so on. I was like, I don't know, man, I just continue investing, whatever happens. And though I remember back in 2018, 2019, I was quite disheartened. I was thinking, what if this really fails? And I was not disheartened about losing my money, but I was disheartened about, I imagined already in my head what the world would look like if crypto was the dominated payment network. I was thinking like, it's gonna be such a better world. And back in 2020, beginning of 2020, things did not look that bad. Let's say Bitcoin was 10,000 or whatever, it recovered some. And I was thinking, however, though, I was not sure if actually we're going to have a bull market, if actually, let's say, crypto is going to succeed. And I was literally telling my friends, even though I've put all my life savings in it, I'm ready to lose it all just if someone with a magical wand or whatever can guarantee me that the crypto revolution is going to happen, that Bitcoin is going to succeed. I'm like, I don't care about myself. Like, I'm fine. Just delete my private keys. I'm going to lose it all. That doesn't matter. This is just more important than me personally making money or me personally benefiting from this.
Right. No, I think that is exactly true. I think the funny thing is that most people tie that the monetary value to it so much that if it were to drop crazy, a lot of people that are on it now would get rid of it. And I like the fact that you weren't doing that, because you understand that the value is far greater than the price that you see. That's what it takes to actually be a real, like, long-term Bitcoiner. You have to understand its value, because like you were talking about with ownership earlier, before we got on here, we were talking about ownership, like being able to actually own your own money. And I don't mean like own it in a bank account where they can easily shut your bank account down and tell you can't get it and you can't get to it, and there's certain countries you can't send your money to, but actually owning your own money because you own the keys and have the ability to send that money anywhere on the planet, regardless of what your government or your bank says. That is extremely powerful. That is so empowering to an individual, because before, the government prints the money, the banks hold the money, they tell you when you can send it, and they make it seem like it's yours. But is it really yours if you can't send it on a Sunday? If you can't go in the bank and get it out on Sunday, it's probably not really yours, right? That's why with Bitcoin, if you own your keys and you have self-custody, you actually own the actual asset. And that is extremely powerful, especially in this world, right? It's like that is what got me. That's the freedom I saw in the Bitcoin white paper. I saw that freedom and it just really made me go, man, this is amazing. So yeah, man.
So Bulgaria is in Eastern Europe, and one of our neighboring countries is Turkey. And Turkey currently have insane inflation. Because what I told you earlier before we started was like, one of the questions I'm going to ask you is to people who say, I don't care about Bitcoin because I have money. I have my bank account. It works. My savings are there. I feel safe. There's not that high inflation at the moment and so on. There wasn't high inflation, let's say, for 20 years or 30 years. I highly doubt it's going to happen in our lifetime and so on. And people like that say, why should I care? And then you look at your neighbor and you see them constantly losing their purchasing power. And actually Bitcoin, I think it hit like $100,000 or something there back when we were at 60, just because they were, racing to buy Bitcoin and be able to store their value there. So what do you think about this, about the fact that people sometimes, when the problem is not their problem, they just don't value it. They're not scared of it. They don't think that it will ever happen to them.
They, like in the United States, most people think it will not ever happen to them. Like, they've never seen it. They don't understand it. And I don't know, it's hard, because I don't even know how you get somebody to understand that until it happens, right? Like, I don't think it's hard to simulate, because what you normally hear in the United States is, oh, that's getting expensive. Oh, it's expensive to go here. But they don't understand how that ties back to the actual monetary policy. So all they know is that it gets expensive and, well, I got to pick up some more hours. That's usually what happens, right? People see prices go up and then they get a second job. So they work more hours and stay away from their family even more. They leave their kids without a parent at the house, or right? Their husband doesn't get to see them, or their wife doesn't get to see them more. That's what normally happens here in the United States. We don't realize that the system is broken. And so when things like what goes on in Turkey would happen here, we might go into pure chaos. Think about it. People were trying to get as much toilet paper as possible in the United States.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even a true, chaotic time. It wasn't even really that crucial. But yet people were like fighting over toilet paper. Like, imagine what happens if we ever hit hyperinflation in the United States. Like, that's why you have to be able to look at things, see out past your face, so to speak, or see out past your hand, and be able to know that the things that are in place right now continue to lead towards inflation. And those things, if you notice how they're printing money and everything, and if we get to UBI, those things will decay the United States even more so than it is today. And that's going to be a problem. So you got to have vision. You got to be able to see past your hand and say, you know what, there's something on the other side and I need to prepare for it now. That's why I love your story of moving back to Bulgaria and stacking your set, because you saw into the future, right? And not everybody does. And matter of fact, the Bible says, if you don't have vision, you'll perish. Like, that's what literally happens. So you got to be able to kind of look at what's going on now and see where the trend is going. Or as Wayne Gretzky says, skate where the puck is headed, and make and prepare accordingly. So, man, this is a really good podcast, I must say, man. I like your question.
Thank you. We have amazing question by Lupa, but I'm gonna save it again from the chat. I'm gonna save it for a second. Actually, I wanna tell you that during the bear market, I told you that I was about to be disheartened. But at the same time, though, from all my friends, there was only one person who's into crypto like me. Only one person. So from all my colleagues, all my high school friends, all my previous job friends, all my neighbors, only one person was in crypto like me and stacking Bitcoin during the bear market, okay? Only one. And back then I remember telling him, listen, dude, listen. Either this is a simulation and literally, like, it doesn't make sense. Like, are you stupid? Like, is this a Ponzi and we're stupid? Or are you seeing something that no one else sees? Like, I don't get it. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, Bitcoin is the future. It's so obvious to me. And I can purchase it, let's say, for $3,000, $5,000, $10,000. Like, it's a bear market and you have an amazing opportunity, because $3,000 in Bulgaria's money is about 5 months of income, okay? Today, though, at $160,000, it's about 100,000 leva. So this is about 100 months. So now it's like closer to 10 years of work in order to get one Bitcoin. So it's like, a lot of people now are, thinking, oh, if I knew about crypto earlier. So there is this saying, everyone purchases Bitcoin at the price that he deserves.
Yep.
So the good question from Luba is the following. And after that, I'm going to go through my notes because I have a few questions that I want to align. So Luba asked the following. So what is the most important thing that you want to teach your children?
Oh, man. These are good questions.
I know, right?
The most important thing I try to always teach my children is love, period. Like how to love one another, how to love other people. Because truthfully, even before Bitcoin, love fixes a lot of things. If people would just learn to love and tolerate one another, like the world would be a lot better anyway, right? So I always try to teach that's the most important thing, is to teach my children about love, because I don't want to really get too preachy, but that leads you to God, right? So, you got to teach kids about love. You got to share love, show love, and make sure that they understand it, so. And God is love to me, so. But yeah, man, that was a deep one. Good question.
Listen. I'm a really honest person, and sometimes I might come like if I'm I don't know, like sharp or whatever, but I'm just an honest person, okay? So I want to tell you something. I want to confess something. I personally do not believe in God, okay? I do not believe in God. However, though, what I do believe is, I wouldn't say it love, I would say positive energy, doing good things. The way I see it is, in my head, in my mind, there is no nations. There is no white people and black people. There is no Indians and that. We are just human beings of the race humans on the planet Earth that spins around a big ball of gas or whatever it is, the sun, and we are in the Milky Way, and we are so alone. We are such a small dot on the cosmos, right? And if we die, no one's gonna find out about us, and literally we must be so responsible and work together to make sure that we are not gonna kill each other, and doing good propagates. Because when I help someone and make his day, yes, sure, there are some people that are gonna take advantage of you. Of course, yes, there are some people like that. But some other will be like, oh wow, my neighbor is actually a good person. I'm so grateful that he assisted me with something. And then tomorrow, when he's being asked a favor, he'll be a lot more willing to do the favor. So what I'm saying is, I do not believe in God per se, but I do believe that in just goodness. We must be good, and goodness, if you do good, good is gonna come back to you.
I think a lot of people don't understand though that your definition of goodness probably comes from someone who believed in God. Even if you don't believe in God now, like somebody in your past, and like your mom or your grandparents or your great grandparents, they instilled that goodness, but they instilled that because they had some belief in God. So whenever we get to this point, yeah, it's a lot of people say they don't believe in God, but they don't realize that a lot of the qualities that they like about their parents and everything else came from a person that did. So absolutely. Yeah, you're the fruit. You're the fruit of the tree, right? So that's absolutely the thing. So that's why yeah, if you don't believe in God, that's fine. But I definitely believed in him because, again, that's the only way that I feel like I can understand what love is and understand. It's almost like, how do you understand Bitcoin? You got to go get the Satoshi white paper. How do you understand love and how to handle and deal with each other? You got to understand God, right? Like you got to understand, for me, it's Jesus. So you got to understand Jesus Christ. But that's it. I mean, I don't argue with anybody about it because you can believe what you want. But for me, I just try to show it, right? I like what you said, I try to plant the seeds of positive energy and love in the world. And then hopefully people see that and go, man, why are you always so nice? Or, man, why do you always, and I'm like, because of God, right? It allows me to tell them without going, hey, you need to get with God. You know what I mean? It's just like, it allows me just to share my biggest sermon should be my life. You feel me? So.
Because I'm not a religious person, I'm not that familiar with different religions. However, I do like the Christian religion and the 10 commandments, I think it's called in English, the don't steal, don't kill, don't do this. They're all good rules to live by. So generally, I'm not, believer in God myself, but I do like the idea of religion and, being a community and obviously following the 10 commandments and not doing anything that you don't want to be done to yourself. Like that's my rule. Like don't do to anyone else something that you don't want done to yourself. I taken one note because we talked so much about love. I taken one note actually from a podcast that I watched with you to prepare for ours. There you said a very funny line. It was, I love babies and I love old people. Do you remember that? And you said it a year ago. I don't know if you're saying it frequently or not, but can you please expand on that and tell whoever's watching this podcast, what does that mean?
So I love babies and I love old people because babies, they don't know enough to fight everyone and get upset. And old people, they've lived their life. They don't care enough to fight everyone. They do what they want to do. Everybody in the middle is like they're politicking. They want to be better than each other. They want to fight each other. They want to get more money and all of this other stuff. And so they make it hard in the middle. So babies, you just have a good time and play with them. And old people, you have a good time and play with them too. Because neither side usually cares, right? It's the people in the middle that just want to keep tugging and fighting and killing and, you know what I mean? It's just, I think that there's something very virtuous about the ends of the beginning and the end. When you know nothing and when you know everything, or you know a lot, but you realize like it wasn't worth nothing, right? Knowing all of that really means nothing. And you like when you talk to older people, they'll tell you the most important things were the relationships they had, the risks that they took. Like that was the most, like when you talk to them when they're on the deathbed, they'll say, I wish I took more risk and I wish I kept more relationships. Because as you get older, you start realizing those are the real things that as a life lived, money can't solve. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, you got me over here too. Like, we supposed to be talking about Bitcoin.
It's all connected, though. It's all connected.
Yes, man. Yeah.
I'm just debating where to pivot to next. So,
any more questions from the audience?
There is a lot of comments, but no questions. Yeah, they will ask. There is one about NFTs, but I'm keeping it for a bit later. So I want to ask you, what do you do now? Like, what I mean is like, what do you fill your time with? What do you work on? And like a secondary question after that would come is, which is connected to the first one, is like, if you have enough money and let's say you can retire today, right, and not work to the rest of your life, and you can just pay for other people for their time to do a service or build a product for you or buy food and so on, or rent a house or whatever, why should one work, right? Like, what does it mean to work?
Well, for me, I like to put my time into things that I believe in. So I started a company called SunJoin that is a hemp company, but it's really about bringing people together, because I believe there's a different way of capitalism that we can have, where everyone who is in the supply chain actually benefits almost equally. Right now, in our current version of capitalism, a lot of times makes the person at the top of the chain, like it's like a, do you know what a potluck is? I don't know if y'all have that term in Bulgaria.
A what?
Potluck.
Potluck. It's a word in English, but I can't remember. Potluck is isn't that a potluck? No?
Potluck, like luck.
Bad luck or potluck?
Potluck, like lucky.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
lucky.
Yeah.
But potluck.
No.
So I'll tell you what a potluck is.
Okay.
A potluck is where everyone cooks, and then they all bring the food together.
Okay.
And everyone eats together.
Okay.
So you all, like, I'll cook something, you can cook a dish, I cook a dish, we bring them all. You cook the chicken and I cook the green beans.
I've seen that in the American movies, where one brings the chicken and the other one brings the homemade bread, and that lady's gonna bring the pie and so on. Okay, we don't do that here, but I get it. Yeah,
that's a potluck.
Okay.
So I call that potluck capitalism, because like you said, everybody brings their own thing to the table and they all get to benefit from it. Usually in our sense of capitalism, what normally happens is the person whose table it is, you bring your stuff to the table and that person gets to eat first. That's normally what happens. You bring your work, your time, your labor, and the CEO and the shareholders, they eat first, and then they give you the scraps, right? Where I'm trying to build a company with SunJoin that basically says everybody brings all of their value to the table, and then everybody benefits equally across the table. So that's what I'm trying to build with SunJoin. And I mean, it's been cool. It's been really fun. The pandemic kind of hurt us a little bit from some of the things we wanted to do, because we couldn't get people together. But outside of that, it's been really awesome to grow hemp, that be on the farm, to do all of those kind of things. It's really fun. And then the other side, I built Black Bitcoin Billionaires, which is a group that is very multicultural. I actually met Nikolai from Bulgaria. He was in there. That's how I got on this show. Shout
out to Nikolai.
Yeah, shout out Nikolai. He's part of Black Bitcoin Billionaires, because anybody's welcome. Anybody who wants to come, we do not discriminate. Anybody can come in, and what we do is educate on Bitcoin on a daily basis, just to make sure everybody hears all the things that we're saying, and so we can get that message into places that normally people don't get it. So those are the things I do on a consistent basis. And then of course I love to program. I'm a software developer. I love to program, so I work on projects all the time just to keep my mind and my fingers going.
Nice. Okay. What do you do though in software world? Like, what do you work on? What do you develop?
So right now I'm helping my son.
Okay.
Because when I got out of the hospital, he had been trying to do, because he's an artist and also a designer, and he's been trying to do these NFTs. They're like really interesting. So I told him I would help him out, but I wanted to build something to build it on top of Bitcoin first. So I was just like trying to look at the Lightning Network. Like right now I'm running like a PlebNet Playground Lightning node for the testnet that they have at PlebNet. And I was trying to build something on top of Bitcoin. But when I got out of the hospital, I was like, listen, man, we're going to use whatever tools are out there now and get your NFT out. Because, I mean, who knows? I don't know. It really brought me to, it really shared my mortality. That's the word. Like, you really realize how fragile you are when you get that sick. So it's like, I might not have a lot of time to work with my son, right? So let's knock this thing out and get it out there into the world so he can have it, so he can do it. So yeah, that's what I'm helping him do right now, is to help him get the website and the game. He wants to, because really what he wants to do is build a game, and he's just using the NFT for access. Because I don't think any of us believe in the whole JPEG ownership thing, right? Like, I don't know if we really believe in that because that's not how a smart contract works. So what he's using it for is basically saying, if you have one of these, you can play my game, right? So he's using it for access, almost like a ticket.
Yes.
So that's what I've been programming. But when I finish with that, I'll probably go back to trying to build something on top of the Lightning Network. So
that's one of the use cases of NFTs that I really like. Like for instance, you know how the CryptoPunks exploded and used to be a floor of $100,000, which sounds insane. And then Visa bought one, and now the price for is like $300,000 and so on. And what I was saying, like, you know, for the past months, I was like, I'm sure this stuff is gonna go to $1 million price for at some time in the future. And here is why. It's not about the JPEG. Like, the JPEG is ugly. Like, it's freaking pixelated head. Like, who cares about that? But it's about the exclusive club. Just 10,000 people on the planet would be able to own the private key to an address that contains one of these NFTs. And on Discord, I've seen already integration where on Discord, you click on login with your wallet and you connect your wallet with MetaMask or Rabi or whatever. You sign a message to confirm that you're the owner, you have the private key to this address. And then on this address is there an NFT of this series. And there is, then the Discord gives you a certain row that gives you access to a certain channel. So my point is this integration with the blockchain of Ethereum blockchain and a third-party application already is there. It's working and it's proven, and it's just crazy. And actually, what I would love to do if Ethereum gas prices were not freaking $100-200, what I would love to do is, let's say, I don't know, like make a mint limited NFT of 100 items or 200 or 500 or whatever, which would be just like the super core community of my channel, of my community, right? And it's gonna be a free market. If someone doesn't like, let's say, want to visit our meetups or is not involved anymore, he just can sell it at whatever the current market price is. But if it was like 1 cent or 5 cents per transaction, I would love to do that. But with the current prices, I must do it on another blockchain. But here is about the thing about blockchains. I personally trust only the Bitcoin blockchain and the Ethereum blockchain. I do not trust Solana or Binance Smart Chain or this or that. These are the only two blockchains that are, to me, decentralized enough that I can trust them, that whatever I own there, actually I own it and I see future in them.
So Ethereum, I don't trust that either, because it's even moving more towards centralization with proof of stake. But with that said, I'll definitely be using it for my son's platform. Because here's the thing, you know, like I know, that we're technologists. And if we built something on top of a MySQL database or MongoDB or Postgres, no one would care. Like, no one would care about what we built on top of. But in the blockchain space, everyone cares because they want to fight so they can get more fiat, right? But what I always say is that for Ethereum, it's not like I'm holding the ether. It's like all I do, we use it, get rid of it, and then it's on there. And here's the thing, when we get off of here, me and you should talk, because I have a way for you to actually issue those tokens you're wanting to do in a way that you don't have to spend as much money. Like, I have a way for you to do it that's on the Ethereum blockchain that you don't have to spend as much money. If you want to talk about that after this, because we haven't shared that with anyone.
Okay.
Yeah, we're actually doing that. Because we're going to be the ones that you can buy NFT with the Lightning Network or with Bitcoin on Ethereum. So that's what we're doing when we launch, right? And it'll be pretty cool. So that's what I'm working on with my son, so that you can buy it with the Lightning Network or with Bitcoin, but it's still just stored as a database on Ethereum.
Sounds crazy good. Yeah, I'm very interested.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing. But yeah, man, so I don't know. I don't think Ethereum. I still don't like Ethereum. It's almost like you see all the holes that happen and people get their contracts breached. Those things are crazy. So it's kind of like, I think it's still way too early. And I also think that Ethereum is just not built to do the things that it wants to do, and that's the reason why they're trying to go to proof of stake. And I have to leave in about 6 minutes, so
Oh, do you? Okay, we have a hard stop in 6 minutes. Okay then.
I just looked up. This is such a great conversation. So I was like, I wasn't paying attention to the time. So yeah, I got a hard stop at 1:30. So
okay, listen. Then, because I didn't know that, we have to do it again. Okay, in a month or whatever, whenever you have the time, ping me please, and let's have another conversation. I prepared like I have 10 unasked questions, but for 6 minutes, let's finish this one though, because we didn't get to the part. You have enough money to not have to work for the rest of your life. Why, instead of getting, I don't know, like 3 models and going to some islands there and just drinking martinis the whole day, why spend your time on building things or working on something or trying to grow a community? Why should you do that instead of just living the best life on some island with some top models?
But that is the best life, doing what you love to do. I love to program. I love to build applications. So for me, and the 3 models, I would die because my wife would kill me. So I couldn't have the 3 models, but I love the program. So for me, it's like, if I was sitting on a beach right now in Costa Rica, I would still be programming, just because I would still be building something, just because that's what I love to do. Like, some people like to paint, some people like to play basketball. I like to play basketball, but I really love to program. So I like to keep stretching my mind that way. And so that's why I would do it, because it's fun. It's really fun. Okay. Like, don't you love the program?
I do. Yeah. I've actually said that one of the things that I would like to do after the bull market ends is one of the things that I'd love to do is a school about development in Bulgaria, with the idea to help more people get into software development as many as possible, because especially now after the pandemic started, a lot more companies are realizing that work from home does work. You can get people. Also, let's say it's just cost effective to hire people from abroad. Bulgaria is a big development hub for Western Europe. As I said, the wages here are much smaller than in Western Union. Let's say in Western Europe, if you have to pay, I don't know, let's say 3,000 or 5,000 euros salary, you can pay half that to a Bulgarian. Is gonna bring the same quality of work.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. Do you use the euro in Bulgaria?
We don't yet. However, our currency is tied to the euro, a fixed exchange rate, so we cannot just print as many as possible as we want from our currency. And the other thing is that we will get into the euro in the next 2-3 years, something like that. It's in the going. I would like to ask you then one more question, because there's 2-3 more minutes. It's a good question. It's the following. What did you learn about crypto/Bitcoin this year? And super quickly in 10 seconds, saying what I, for instance, learned is how mining works. What I mean is, I knew how mining works. Like, you have miners, burn electricity, you solve the puzzle, you get the next block, and so on. However, I did not realize to the level that I do now that it's about energy cost arbitrage. And how you can bring the miners to the energy source, even if it's up the mountains or down deep in dirt and so on. So this really just like changed my perspective on mining. So what did you learn in the past 12 months about crypto or Bitcoin?
The Lightning Network. I have really been studying, trying to understand how it works, how you could build on top of it. And so everything about the Lightning Network, I understood payment channels, because those have been around from a mindset, and basically connecting payment channels is what the Lightning Network is. So when I finally understood that, it really clicked for me and really made me believe that I could build something on top of it. In the same way that when I read the white paper, I had to go build something, so I built a wallet. So I feel like I'm in that same zone right now.
Okay, amazing. Lamar, thank you very much for your time. And I really hope that you visit us again when you have the time.
All right, thank you, man. See you later, Plamen. And tell everybody else, Nikolai, thank you for introducing me to him. This has been awesome. See you, man.
Thank you. Bye.